Okay, still the Friday edition of Newdawn. As we said when we actually started the program, the EMBER months are here, starting from September, October, November, December. And of course, Dominic actually emphasized the spiritual or supernatural attachments that people attach to these EMBER months. And it is starting right now from September, including things you need to do, things you don't need to do, things that are common. Why are these negative things common during the month of this EMBER month, so to say? And so we have, we're looking at it from the spiritual angle of it, and we will also look at one of the negative things that is happening is the issue of road crashes around the EMBER months. And so we have two qualified and interesting guests to look at these two angles for us. That's why the topic for today's discussion right away, it's EMBER months, myth or reality. We have two guests, as I said. One is a pastor, Pastor Bayo Olabode. Pastor Olabode, you're welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Glad to be here with you this morning.
And we have Prince Shini Ogunyemi, who is the commandant of Trace here in Ogun State. Prince Ogunyemi, you're welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Dominic.
Now, good morning, sir. Now, this belief has been there for a very long time. And even as we speak, if you go to religious centers today, you discover that they are having one prayer session or another, to this effect. Now, let me ask you, do you think the crashes that we record, the spate of crashes that we record during this EMBER months, do you think they are spiritually jinxed, or they are as a result of human errors?
Yeah, thank you. You said it. There's no spiritual something in terms of crashes. It is an human error. When we are talking of human error, we are talking about many things. Error of perception, error of judgment, error of omission, and many other errors that you can do on your own. He who fails to plan to fail. The problem we have with EMBER months has been long, even since maybe I was born. You understand? People tend to rush. We fail to plan our activities for the whole year. The government will do a budget, estimate budget for the whole year. Why can't we individually do our own planning for the whole year? And that is the problem we have. And we tend to start rushing before the end of the month. It remains 4 months to the end of the year. I must change my car. I must go to my own house. I must do this. And you tend to put everything, pressure on those months. And most of the activities we have, campaign is starting. This is the EMBER month too. Everything takes around that month, end of the year. And that is why people started rushing to do it. So there's nothing mystical, there's nothing in there. It's just like any other month. It's just like any other month. And when we look at it, we've been telling people, we've been telling road users, forget about anything mystical, whatever mystery, spiritual, nothing. There's no spiritual in driving. When you do what you're supposed to do, you are maintaining your body. Why can't you maintain your vehicles? You understand? But people tend to go, oh no, I don't want to do this now. This time, I must do this. I must change my car. I must do it. And they want to rest the whole past 8 months on the remaining 4 months. And that's why it's called EMBER. And that is why we have so many crashes around that period.
Now, let me come to you, Pastor Bayo Olabode. Do you actually agree with him, or you have a divergent view?
Actually, I would say that our lives are segmented into moments and seasons. And God is in charge of both moments and seasons of our lives. And he tells us in his word that he crowns the year with his goodness, and his paths drop fatness. Now, having said that, it tells us that there's an agenda that God has for the end of the year, that is crowning the year with his goodness. And if we are to see that crowning part of it, that means good things are awaiting us. Better is the end of a matter than the beginning. God has good things for his people and for all people at the end of the month, particularly his people. But then you see, the interesting thing is that there's also a devil out there who is also interested. Either people choose to ignore it or not. It's just like the law of gravity. Either you believe in it or not. When you fall from a 3-story building, you will recognize the law of gravity by force. So having said that, there's that reality. But secondly also, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. People tend to think differently, that once the year is coming to an end, there's a threat on their life. There's somebody who is laying a siege on the road they've been passing all through this month that wants to claim their life. So that kicks in and fear comes in. The road they've passed maybe for the past 9-10 months, they begin to pass it in the ember months, and they are apprehensive. Just like the prince rightly said, you become a victim of what you fear. You become a victim of what you subscribe to. So the ember months actually are good months. They are just like every other month. But the special thing about them is that there's a plan for God for us to finish well. And then there's also a plan by the enemy to see that people don't see the end of the year.
These enemies, Pastor.
Sorry, I said enemy, not enemies. That's
okay, good. This enemy, you have confirmed it, because I'm beginning to look at them. There could be a myth from what you've just said. Yes, you said God actually has good plans for us. Is it rooted religiously that at some particular month towards the end of the year, you have to be extra careful? Pastor?
Please take that again.
Is it rooted religiously that during the period of these ember months, that everybody wants to see the beginning of the new year? I said, is it rooted religiously that you have to be extra careful and extra prayerful?
I think I would say that every moment of our life is as important as any other one. So we need to maintain vigilance. We need to maintain prayers. We need to maintain caution. We need to maintain moderation. So the ember months are special months, either we choose to believe it or not. They are special months. They are special parts of our lives, because like I quoted for you from Psalm 65, verse 11, that God crowns the year. God is interested in it. He's not the only one interested. But you see, there's this misconception in life today that people believe every good thing comes from God, every bad thing comes from God. That is not true. At least the Bible doesn't tell me that. The Bible says God is good, his mercies endures forever. So there's absolutely no bad thing that comes from God. It comes from either our own human errors, or the choices that we have made, or the interest of the devil that we have subscribed to. Somebody will tell you that, well, there's no scientific proof. Well, we are talking of spiritual things here. They have no correlation with science or any other thing.
Okay, let me still stay with you, Pastor. So if you look at the devil inherent in this ember months, I think, can we say, because what is normally, let's leave that of a road accident. What we normally see is increase in robbery, increase in theft, increase in kidnapping, increase in crime that could lead to more riches. This is the example of the devil you're talking about?
Yeah, I like the way you put it. That's a manifestation of it. Now, look at it this way. The year is coming to an end, and God has a package for you that you move into your own house. You finish well, you finish strong, you finish good, that you and your children and your family move to the next level. Now, which is the plan of God for every one of it. Nobody wishes his children bad. But then you see, there's somebody else who is looking, let me see how this comes to pass. Let me see how this comes to pass. And in the camp of the devil, where we have ritual killers, which we know except we choose to be ignorant of them, there are renewals that people do every year too. Yearly subscription, just like you subscribe to DSTV and GoTV. And it involves blood. It involves sacrifices. And so people's lives are required at that time. It's not a pleasant message. It's not something people want to hear. But the realities are here with us. The realities are here with us. We see it day in, day out. We pass in on the express road and roads in which you've been plying for most of the time.
And this fulfillment is always expected during the end of the year, around this
It is all year round, but it is intensified at the end of the year.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, Commander Sheni Ogriemi.
Yeah.
Now, to be sure that we should just take more caution from your intro when you were answering Dominic's question. I'm interested in the statistics, maybe in the last 3 years, the average, the accidents, road crashes statistics between January and October, January and August, and of course, why it is human error and why people should be more careful. And to actually lay that fact with what you said, that it is always human error and lack of planning. What is it from January to August? And what is it like from September to December?
Yeah, I'm beginning to take some clue from our reverend, our pastor, that EMBER month can be tagged being spiritual or the other hand, as I don't read my Bible very well. But notwithstanding, yes, when we look at it, like I said, that because of human errors and because of lack of planning, when you look at the statistics from January to August, from January to August 2020, let us bring in, we have less cases of accidents than from September. From January to August 2020, we have about 170 cases. 170 cases from January to August. But between September and December of 2020, we have 282 cases. 282 cases. Crashes. When we look at the fatality rate, from January to for August, that is 8 months, we have the death. When we look at the fatality rate, we have less than, we have about 85. Then between September to December, we have 67 fatality rate. Those that are injured, we have 217, January to August 2020. Between September to December, we have 325, as recorded by Trace and police together under the area covered. I'm not saying that is the whole statistics under the area covered. When we look at 2021, it increased. Why 2022 is that because of the COVID-19. 2021, it increased, but the cases lower, but the fatality rate higher. I don't know what happened on that, because we have between January and August for 2021, we have close to 212. But between September to December, we have 248. So it tends to show that we have a lot of crashes during this EMBER month period. And most of the crashes is between November and December. We don't have much in September. We don't have really much in October. But when it becomes November 15 to January 1 the following year, many crashes. So, you see, well, to me, I'm not so on the line of our pastor, but I believe in physical things. You know your road. You master your road. Your road should be friendly with you. We can do those. We have 12 major corridors in Ogun State. And we know where accident happens. Mostly, we just pick this section between Abeokuta and Internship, Shagam. That's it, number 1. Number 2, Shagam, Bini Road. Number 3, Lagos, Ibadan Expressway. Number 4, Abeokuta to Ibadan. Number 5, Abeokuta to Ota, to Lagos. And that is why we so position our operatives strategically When accident occur, between 5, our response time is between 5 to 15 minutes, we are there. Having said that, we know what is the problem within this road. There's nothing. Look at, they've just fixed this road. Why is it between Odekpepeye, Kobakwe Assis? Why is it between Shiun Junction and Orilimo? You understand? And not that the roads are bad, they're fine. Not that the cocoon of safety is not there, they are there. Not that we have so many bends, no. So when we look into what the pastor said, maybe, but when we look into ourselves, maybe, I'm trying to maybe.
And that leads me to
Yes.
my next question,
Right.
because the statistics that you gave,
Yes.
in as much as they allude to your stance,
Yes.
they also allude to the stance of the pastor.
Yes.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
whether we like it or not. But what will them now give us a clearer picture is the fact that, I mean, this narrative has been pushed over the years that it's not spiritually jinxed.
Yes,
it is more
that
of
is what we
human
say.
errors.
Yes.
So you have to be careful.
Yes.
Now, we have been pushing this narrative out over the years. Now, have we now seen a decrease in the amount of crashes
Around those
periods over the years when these narratives have been out that, okay, I mean, it's human errors and there is nothing spiritual about that?
That is what we are saying. There's no significant decrease to that extent. I mentioned why the 2020 was low, because of COVID-19.
COVID-19.
You understand? 2021 higher. We are looking at 2022 now. We just started in September. But we are trying to do things now to make sure we reduce. We want to make sure this time around, between road safety, between trades, between police, every one of us, even custom, everybody, we want to make sure we are coming on board to make sure the enforcement is stringent. We are bringing mobile court out. Instant judgment. The CSP just told me yesterday, Commander, let's look into this. I said, okay, by the time they resume from the section, let us go and see the CJ and let us fight him. Because the law of trace permits mobile traffic court to be moving around with him. With it. You understand? We're going to look to reduce the 5 areas that major roads that I said. We are going to place mobile courts there. And we are going to look into the speed. Why should people subject themselves into satanic something that the pastor said? Look at this period. You look at this particular period is when you find them drunk driving. You understand? At this period, you will find out that they are not maintaining their vehicles. Majority of the statistics said, what are the causes of these crashes? Overspeeding. How do you determine overspeeding? Reckless driving. Wrongful overtaking. Driving in a direction prohibited by traffic law. You deliberately want to kill. You understand? And that is it. Then you deliberately abandon your vehicle. You said that somebody called me yesterday. Trace stole my vehicle and my vehicle was parked off the road. Money, which one will be off the road? Which one is off the road? Can you mind? Let me send you the picture of that off the road. The road has been narrowed, the 2 lanes has been narrowed to a 1.5 lane, and you are saying off the road.
Now, talking about enforcement,
Right.
How serious really are the agencies going to take this? I mean, because we know that there have been laws over the years, and we still see these laws being broken by road users. For instance, there is at some point they said, you should not, drivers, public transport should not carry 2 people in front.
And they are still doing that.
And they are still doing that. There was a time where they said, okay, motorcycles should not just 1 passenger, per ride, and they are still carrying. In fact, some people carry as much as 3 passengers on their motorcycle.
You see,
so how seriously will this enforcement?
We have this very serious government this time around because the governor, His Excellency Prince Abeokuta, has called on us that he wants to reduce crashes during December month, especially along these 5 corridors that I mentioned. And he has put some machinery on ground for us to work. And that's the purpose of it. That is, we want to use our enforcement, we want to be stringent on that enforcement tactics down. You understand? People are just lawless. And their fines are going to be heavy this time around. Look at under the bridge of Kuto. Each time we go there, go to the park, don't stay there. By the time we move them away, before, after 1 hour, they are back there. Yesterday I was there and I find them heavily. Because I have so many offenses that I join together to make the fine heavy. They are literally their primary offense is just maybe 20,000 or whatever. But their recklessness, they have to pay 106,000 now. If you are, enforcement should not be, the major thing is enlightenment, public education. We have 4 E's. They have about 20-something E's, we just talked about it. But we have the 4 E's in traffic management techniques. The first one is engineering, which the government are facing, the roads, furnitures, everything there. The second one is to educate, to enlighten people. This is how you are going to do on the road, blah, blah, blah. And the third one is to enforce. You understand? We've been using soft enforcement, but we want to use hard enforcement this time around. You understand? Yeah. Our prison has been congested, yes. Let us look into other areas of community services. You understand? And if we evaded an arrest, don't worry, we work with you people. I said, all this number, we are looking for it. People are just lawless. We have so many fake number plates.
Now, talking about lawlessness,
yes.
The role of the religious leaders have to come in place. As a man of God, a lot of persons flock churches and mosques at different days of
Before you answer that,
okay,
let me just put in there. That is part of enlightenment, and that is what we started doing, to go to churches, to go to all the religious bodies. When they are preaching, maybe they find it interesting in doing burial services. Like I told somebody, I said, we don't think in this country, especially this Western culture. It's only Monday and Tuesday that we think. Wednesday, service also don't start for burial. Thursday, we keep. Friday, don't share again. Friday, burial. Saturday, marriage ceremony and birthday. Sunday, church and meetings of fountain of war or what this society will have. And asalatu, you understand? Monday and Tuesday, what am I going to do for the week again? So we are appealing to them that when you are doing your sermon, like 5 minutes there, let us talk about road safety on the issue. You understand? Yeah, back to me.
Now, a lot of times, religious leaders have been accused of doing more of prosperity preaching than asking their members to abide by the laws of God and the laws of the society where they stay. Do you see yourselves as worthy collaborators with agencies like Trace and FRSC and the rest of them in ensuring that people abide by simple rules and regulations in the society?
Now, let me address 3 things very quickly. Number one, I found out the idea that people say that there's a teaching of prosperity that the churches are propagating. I don't know anybody who chose to be poor. If there's anyone, please point to him for me. Number 2, I think there are lots of churches where preaching of the gospel goes on. It's like a restaurant. You choose the one that suits your appetite. So it's not, there's no finger pointing there that they preach too much of prosperity here, they don't balance it, they don't do that one. Everybody has a right to choice. God gave man. That's what differentiates us from angels. You have a will of your own. Number 2, I want to chime in on what the moderator said. We can't ascribe most of the things that happen in the Ember months to spiritual things. Let me bring a balance there. Now, there is always the rush. This is Africa. I must just celebrate Christmas at home. I must celebrate Christmas at home.
Or the New Year.
And then we thank God for our brothers in the East too, who attach so much importance to it. Because that's the time in which people get to recline and then meet up with. And then, against reason and logic, people enter the road, not in their right frame of mind, not resting properly. Maybe this was somebody who worked all the evening. Now, categorically, the devil is not involved in that one. That is stupidity. Weaponized. So I need to address that so that because we are not seeing it as almost every little thing that happens.
Yeah, it's
that
clear.
factor is also there.
Yeah.
And so let me also try to talk to Oga Sheni too. I think the place of enforcement too should be doubled down. I thank God for Prince Abeokuta, our proactive governor, and what he's doing. But you see, the prices of transportation goes up in the Ember months. These are the same roads we ply, for crying out loud. But when it comes to December, they'll be telling you, today, 500 naira fare becomes 1,005 or 1,000 naira. And then there's competition between the drivers to go and come back as many times as possible. The devil is not in that one. So I think one of my mentors, Bishop Oyedepo, said, God gave us brain so that we can give him rest. This one is a brain matter. So in the area of enlightenment in churches, that I believe any serious congregation, because the priests are set as watchmen over the flock so that nothing happens to them. That goes on from time to time. Anybody who is a serious priest or a shepherd over every assembly, particularly in these times, apart from the prayers that go on, I think I've said enough on that. I don't want to overflog it. There's also the part of people taking personal responsibility. Your vehicles are in place. You are not overspeeding. There are not 12 of you in a car, and it becomes like a flat instead of a vehicle. And then you are going, and then the driver is having difficult time even maneuvering the steering. So that can also be increased. That can be increased. We can't do too much of that.
Pastor Mabadi, despite what the Trace Commandant have said about human error, this and that, even outlining the area of where accident happening, I want to come to you with this question. I want to know your reaction. People, at some particular, these crashes happen because of human errors or mistakes. But you find out that at a particular place, well known to these drivers, being plied every now and then is where you always have some of these accidents. Now, why are they making mistakes at that particular place? E.g., I'll mention Onipepe. Even though the Trace Commander will give us a whole lot of issues why it will happen, I know that it got to a stage, some spiritualists had to appease, how to do some kind of sacrifice around that area. That is where I know. I don't know of some other places where people will just get missing, and of course where people, unnecessary accidents will happen. So, is this not laying credence that there may be a sort of myth somewhere?
Well, I think I have. That's an interesting question. I think I have addressed it in part of my earlier talk, that the end of the year is a time that everybody should take seriously. And I made mention of subscription. Now, let's factor in that this is an election year we are entering into. Yes. I don't need to lecture anybody on the things that politicians will do and undo. Ritual killings will be on the increase. I'm not a prophet of doom. That has been going on. It will increase because people subscribe to black magic and there's need for human blood, sadly. So it will increase. But you and I should not be part of it. It's where we take personal responsibility in our own prayers and in our own getting close to God and calling on Him. I can't secure any other person, but I can secure myself and my family. The responsibility is with me. Now, on the sports that you mentioned, you notice that even when it comes to network, it is stronger in some places than at other places. Now, check in those sports. There are shrines and there are activities of powers of darkness that happen there. Now, I don't mean to sound overtly religious. You go to places like, why do people go to places like Redemption Camp to pray and then they return? Why do our Muslim brothers go to Hajj to return and then they have testimonies? Because there's a presence there that makes things happen. There's no rocket science there. People go for lesser Hajj, they go for Umrah, they go for Hajj, and they return. They say, I asked God for this and it happened. People go to redemption camp, they go to Canaan land and they return. They go to Mountain of Fire and they return there with tangible proofs. Either it is fertility, it is one attack or the other, and they return. Now, let me say this. We will be kidding ourselves if we don't believe that the spiritual controls the physical. The spiritual controls the physical. Well, it's at the age of science in which you may say, how is that scientifically proven? I think the statistics have supported what I said earlier now. Yeah. Because the proof of divinity is accuracy. If something is divine, it has to be accurate. To prove that what I said was correct, the data has shown it. So what other proofs do we need? Everybody just needs to buckle up and be sure that your head is not the one that is going for it.
Okay, two questions in one. I know that part of your efforts, that's talking about trees, is, you cherish public enlightenment a lot, and you've taken it around.
Right.
And not only taking it around, you've taken it to radio and TV. I know you have Trace FR on radio, Trace FR. How much of this have impacted on the people that you wish to reach out to, especially looking at the language, English? That is one. Now, two, this is another period of Ember months.
Right.
How challenging is it? Is it going to be for you? Has it always been for you? Then this year, how do you hope to double up, just like Pastor said, and of course probably work towards reducing this negative statistics that we normally see around this Ember month?
Yeah, thank you very much. Apart from the two that you said about the media station, public enlightenment, what we've been doing and what we need to intensify more is direct contact dissemination of road safety campaign to me and you directly. Apart from the flyers that we are doing, we are moving and we've been doing that, but we are still going to intensify this. We've started this from the schools to meet with it. We've just trained about 500 teachers from other side. Yes, of recent. We've just, during the Anchor program, we just decorated some of the principals for Tris Mayor so that they can inculcate, they can go back to their schools and do that. And we've appealed to the Ministry of Education to make road, transportation safety, not even road safety, into the curriculum. Just like what we do in that time as a civic, you understand, to have it in their curriculum. Now, so that everybody, especially to catch the children young, you understand, in matters of safety on our roads. But the most important thing is to the garages, where we have more passenger commuters. You understand? When you say we have 10 cases, somebody asked me, he said 10 cases of accident, and now said we have over 50 people injured. How come? You don't know the occupants in the vehicles. It depends on the occupants. There are 10 cases, that is 1, 2, 3. But the occupants differs. Yeah. Car, it could be 2, 3, bus, 18. You understand? And that is it. So we are reaching them at the garages, and first thing is to talk to the commuters, to the passengers. What are you going to do before you enter any vehicle? You must be able to access that bus. How do you access the bus? Was it a rickety bus? We are always in haste. In haste. That is the problem we have.
Do we have that problems at the garages or non-garages? Because I don't believe the union members will allow a car or a bus that is not roadworthy to move around. I mean,
it depends on the timing. Go to the garage at 4, 5, 6. It's there on the timing.
I agree with Commander.
Yes, it's there on the timing. You see,
so these unions are culpable.
They're culpable. And when you are calling them for enlightenment, the drivers will not come. It is the owner, the union that will come and sit down and listen to you. You see, we need to tell the passengers, check their vehicle, check the tire of that vehicle. You can see what you can see yourself. Then enter. Don't let them overload you. You understand? Then address, by the time you enter, look at you can assess the driver. You understand? All these things. Then make sure you have numbers. Driver, you are speeding too much. Everybody, okay, don't worry. Just call on us. Where are you? Know the number of that vehicle before you enter the vehicle. Call somebody in your house. This is the number. They will hear. You understand? All those things we need to tell them. So that to check. It is the passenger that we use to check meet the drivers this time around. And that's why I call it direct contact. You know. Then for illegal, like you said, we have so many illegal parks. Because when they say, okay, this period, we have so many of them. Sole, we call it in Yoruba, Sole. Because by the time they increase their rate, 1,005, you see Sole of 500. You see 500 here. When you move up, you see 400. When you move up, you see 300. You understand? That's how they do it. But majority of them, and we've been telling them, any vehicle that picked you, deliberately they say the vehicle got broken down. I will call vehicle for you. Don't go, forget about your money, go on your own way. You know, these are the things that we need to be very, very careful around this period. And the government is trying our best, you understand, to make sure. And that's why we are going to make sure that enforcement this time, no mercy. No mercy enforcement. Nobody should call me. I know that God will not even call me.
All right. Again, some persons have actually.
We are running off. You just make it a random.
Yes, some persons have also blamed personnel, not just your own personnel, but generally.
And we have devils
that
collecting bribe, extortion,
and so they allow some of this mad rush and some of these.
And give it to them. And those will get together with them. The person that gives and the person that takes are both culpable.
Okay.
We have so many hints now to check, not even trace, not even road safety. We are checking ourselves.
Okay.
Now.
Okay.
The ICPC, they are checking on EFCC, they are even checking on us.
That should be enough way to round off from Prince Guyemi. That is warning.
Warning.
Don't call him.
Don't call me.
If you are culpable, you are going to be fined.
Yes.
Obey the rule. As we go, the spiritual end. Pastor.
Yes, sir.
The spiritual end. Your last one.
Prince has so much indoctrinated me. But let me say this final word. Life is supposed to be lived with God, not outside God.
Okay.
Life is supposed to be lived with God. You see, the bird cannot survive outside the air. The fish cannot survive outside the sea. No man can survive without God.
And if you want to survive and still continue to live life with God, definitely you must be careful. And you must obey the rules, especially during this Ember month, so that you won't just ascribe what is just what will have been avoided to spiritual things or myth. That's how we end it. This segment of the program, Ember month, myth or reality. Pastor Bayo Olabode, thank you very much for coming into the program.
Thanks for having me.
We've enjoyed it so much. And of course, Commander Guyemi. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We'll take this break. We'll be back.